My uncle threw my acceptance letter into the fireplace at Thanksgiving and said, "You're throwing your life away for strangers." When my girlfriend tried to defend me, he grabbed her wrist and twisted until she cried. I just stood there frozen. That was 11 months ago. This morning, he called begging me to forgive him. My Uncle Rick practically raised me after my parents died when I was 8. Him and my Aunt Denise took me in, gave me a room, treated me like their own. But there was always this understanding that I owed them everything, that my life belonged to them now. They homeschooled me and my cousin Tyler, not for religious reasons exactly, just control. Every morning started with Uncle Rick's lectures about loyalty, about how family comes first always, about how the outside world would corrupt us. We had schedules for everything. Wake up at 6, chores until 8, schoolwork until 2. Then we worked in his landscaping business until dark. Tyler loved it. By 16, he was managing crews, talking about expanding the business, planning to take over someday. Uncle Rick bought him a truck as a reward, called him his protege, his legacy. I try to love it too. I wanted Uncle Rick to look at me the way he looked at Tyler. But I hated the work, hated the isolation. I'd see kids my age at the properties we maintained and feel this ache for something different. When I turned 18, I told Uncle Rick I wanted to take the GED and maybe go to community college, just to try something new. He looked at me like I'd spit in his face. "After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? You want to abandon the family business for what? To sit in a classroom with strangers." Aunt Denise was worse. She cried for 3 days. Made me feel like I was killing her with my selfishness. So I dropped it, worked harder, took on extra shifts, tried to prove my loyalty through exhaustion. Then I met Sarah at a client's house. She was the daughter, home from college for the summer. We talked while I trimmed hedges. She told me about her classes, her friends, her plans to study environmental science. She made a different life sound possible. We started texting, then meeting up secretly. She was the first person who didn't make me feel guilty for wanting more. After 6 months, I applied to the state university. Sarah helped me study for entrance exams, fill out financial aid forms, write essays. I got in with a partial scholarship. The letter arrived on a Tuesday. I kept it hidden for weeks. But Thanksgiving was coming, and Sarah wanted to meet my family. She thought if they saw how happy I was, they'd understand. I was so wrong. Uncle Rick found the acceptance letter in my jacket pocket while I was setting the table. He read it out loud to everyone. Tyler, Aunt Denise, my 2 younger cousins. His voice got quieter with every word, which was somehow worse than yelling. "You applied to college, without telling us, while living under our roof, after we saved you from foster care." I tried to explain, told him I'd still help with the business on weekends, that I just needed to try something different. But he wasn't listening. He walked to the fireplace and dropped the letter in. We all watched it burn. "You're throwing your life away for strangers," he said. "People who don't care about you. We're your family. This business is your future." Sarah stood up then. She'd been sitting quiet through dinner, but she couldn't stay silent anymore. "He's not your property. He deserves to make his own choices." Uncle Rick moved so fast. He grabbed her wrist and twisted. Sarah screamed. I finally unfroze and pulled him off her, but the damage was done. Her wrist was already swelling. Aunt Denise just kept saying, "Look what you made him do. Look what you made him do." We left. Sarah drove us to the ER with one hand. Her wrist was sprained. The doctor asked if she wanted to file a report. She looked at me, and I shook my head. I was too scared of what Uncle Rick would do. That was my mistake. The next morning, I went back to get my stuff. Uncle Rick was waiting. He told me I had a choice. End things with Sarah, commit fully to the family business, or leave and never come back. I chose to leave. Tyler helped me pack, but wouldn't look at me. "You're being selfish," he said. "Dad gave you everything." I moved in with Sarah and her roommates. Got a job at a hardware store. Started classes in January. For the first time in my life, I felt like I could breathe. But Uncle Rick wasn't done. He started showing up at my work. Never caused a scene, just stood in the parking lot watching me through the window. My manager noticed and asked if everything was okay. I lied and said yes. Then he found Sarah's car on campus. Slashed all 4 tires. We couldn't prove it was him, but we knew. The call started next. Late at night, early morning during class. Always the same message. "You're making a mistake. Come home. We can fix this." Aunt Denise left voicemails crying about how I'd broken her heart. How could I abandon them after they'd sacrificed so much? I changed my number. He got the new one within a week. Sarah's parents offered to help us get a restraining order. But I kept thinking maybe he'd calm down eventually. Maybe if I just ignored him long enough, he'd move on. Then he started calling the university. Told my advisor I was unstable, that I'd stolen money from the family business, that I was on substances. My advisor called me in looking concerned and confused. I had to explain everything. Show her the texts, the voicemails, everything. She documented it and said if he contacted the school again, they'd involve campus police. He switched tactics, started posting on social media about ungrateful family members who abandoned the people who raised them. Never named me directly, but everyone knew. Extended family members I barely knew sent messages asking what happened. Why was I hurting Rick and Denise like this? Tyler posted a long rant about loyalty and blood, about how some people forget where they came from. The comments filled with people agreeing, people who knew nothing about what actually happened. Sarah's wrist healed, but she started having panic attacks. Every time we saw a truck that looked like Uncle Rick's, she'd freeze up. We both stopped going places alone. I lasted until March before I broke. Failed 2 midterms because I couldn't focus. Stopped sleeping. Sarah found me one night, just staring at my phone, reading through months of messages from Uncle Rick and Aunt Denise. We need to get a restraining order, she said. This isn't going to stop. We filed the next week. Had to detail everything in writing. The fireplace incident, Sarah's wrist, the stalking, the calls, the tire slashing, the harassment at school and work. The hearing was set for 3 weeks later. Uncle Rick showed up with a lawyer. Aunt Denise sat behind him crying silently. Tyler was there too, glaring at me like I was the villain. Uncle Rick's lawyer painted me as a troubled kid who'd been rescued from a bad situation and repaid kindness with lies. Said I was making everything up to justify abandoning my family. That the acceptance letter burning was just a frustrated moment from a man who'd given everything to raise me. Our lawyer presented the evidence. Medical records from Sarah's wrist, text messages, voicemails, testimonies from my manager and advisor about the harassment. The judge granted a temporary restraining order. Uncle Rick couldn't contact me, come within 500 feet, or contact my school or workplace. It would be reviewed in 6 months. Uncle Rick stood up as we were leaving. You're going to regret this. Family is all you have, and you're throwing it away. The judge threatened him with contempt. He sat down, but kept staring at me with this look of pure betrayal. That night, someone broke into Sarah's car. Didn't steal anything, just destroyed it. Slashed the seats, smashed the dashboard, spray-painted traitor across the hood. Security cameras caught a figure in dark clothes and a hood. Could have been anyone. The police said without clear footage showing a face, they couldn't prove it was Uncle Rick. We moved apartments. Didn't tell anyone the new address except Sarah's parents and the school. 2 weeks later, my new landlord called. Said my uncle had contacted him claiming I was a dangerous tenant who'd been evicted from my last place. The landlord wanted to verify my rental history. I showed him the restraining order. He was understanding, but I could tell he was uneasy about the drama. Finals came. I barely passed my classes. The stress of constantly looking over my shoulder made focusing impossible. Summer arrived, and I stayed in town to work full-time. Sarah went home for a month to visit her family. I spent that month in the apartment, jumping at every noise. Tyler texted me once. Dad's in the hospital. Heart problems. Thought you should know. I didn't respond. Couldn't tell if it was real or another manipulation. Turned out it was real. Uncle Rick had a minor heart attack. Aunt Denise left voicemails saying the stress I'd caused almost killed him, that I'd better think about what I'd done. Part of me felt guilty. Part of me wondered if I really was the problem. Sarah came back and found me in a bad place. Barely eating, not sleeping, missing work shifts. She convinced me to see the campus counselor. The counselor helped me see the pattern. How Uncle Rick had controlled me my whole life, made me feel like I owed him everything, then punished me for trying to be independent. How the guilt was a tool, not a reflection of reality. It helped. Not enough to make the fear go away, but enough to keep going. Fall semester started. I changed my major to business management. Thought maybe I could use what I'd learned from the landscaping company for something of my own someday. Uncle Rick recovered. The restraining order was extended for another year at the 6-month review. His lawyer argued he'd made no contact, but our lawyer showed evidence of the landlord incident and the continued social media posts. Things were quiet for a while. Too quiet. I kept waiting for the next incident. It came right before Thanksgiving. Almost a full year since the original dinner. I came out of class to find Uncle Rick sitting on a bench across from the building. Not close enough to violate the restraining order, but clearly there for me to see. He didn't approach. Didn't call out. Just sat there watching until I called campus police. By the time they arrived, he was gone. He did it again the next week. And the week after. Always just outside the restricted distance. Always just watching. The police said there was nothing they could do unless he violated the specific terms of the order. Sarah and I started planning to transfer to a school in another state. Somewhere he wouldn't know to find us. We'd lose credits, have to start some classes over, but it felt necessary. Then Tyler showed up at my work. He looked different, thinner, tired. He asked if we could talk, and I almost said no, but something in his face made me agree. We sat in my car. He stared at his hands. Dad's obsessed, Tyler said finally. He talked about you constantly, about how you betrayed us, how he needs to make you understand. He's not sleeping. The business is falling apart because he can't focus. That's not my fault. I know. Tyler looked at me then. I know that now. I saw the medical records from Sarah's wrist during the restraining order hearing. I saw the texts he's been sending even though he's not supposed to. I've been covering for him, making excuses, but I can't anymore. Why are you telling me this? Because he's planning something. I don't know what, but he keeps saying Thanksgiving is going to fix everything. That you'll understand once he shows you how much we need you. My blood went cold. Tyler, if you know something specific. I don't. He won't tell me. But please be careful. He's not rational about this anymore. Tyler left. I immediately called our lawyer, told her everything. She said to document it, stay vigilant, maybe leave town for Thanksgiving. Sarah and I decided to drive to her parents' place, 5 hours away. We'd spend the holiday there, away from anything Uncle Rick could plan. We left the day before Thanksgiving. I felt paranoid the whole drive, checking mirrors constantly. Sarah's family was warm and normal and overwhelming. Her mom kept hugging me, telling me I was safe there. Her dad offered to teach me fishing. Her little brother showed me his video games. It was everything my family should have been. Thanksgiving Day was actually peaceful. Good food, bad jokes, Sarah's grandmother telling embarrassing stories about Sarah as a kid. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. It was the police. There'd been an incident at my apartment. Someone had broken in and destroyed everything I owned. Furniture smashed, clothes shredded, everything I'd built over the past year demolished. Security footage showed Uncle Rick and Tyler. Tyler's confession had been real, but he'd also helped his father one last time. We drove back that night. The apartment was exactly as bad as they described. Uncle Rick had been methodical. Every textbook torn apart. My laptop smashed. Clothes cut to pieces. And on the wall in red paint, come home. They arrested both of them that night. Breaking and entering, violation of restraining order, property destruction. Tyler confessed immediately. Said he tried to talk Uncle Rick out of it, but couldn't. Said he'd helped because he was scared of what Uncle Rick would do if he refused. Uncle Rick showed no remorse. Told the police I'd driven him to it, that he was trying to save me from throwing my life away. The trial was quick. Both pleaded guilty. Tyler got probation and community service. Uncle Rick got 18 months. Aunt Denise never spoke to me again. Blamed me for destroying her family. The extended family mostly took Uncle Rick's side. Said I'd been ungrateful, that I should have just worked in the family business, that none of this would have happened if I'd stayed in my place. Sarah's family helped me replace what had been destroyed. Bought new clothes, a new laptop, helped me move to a better apartment with actual security. I changed schools the next semester. Transferred to a university in Sarah's home state. Started over with a new major, new friends, new life. Uncle Rick served his full sentence. When he got out, the restraining order was extended to 5 years. He moved to a different state for work. I graduated 2 years later. Sarah was there. Her family was there. Nobody from my old life came. Tyler reached out once after graduation, sent a letter apologizing, saying he'd started therapy, that he finally understood what had happened, that he cut ties with Uncle Rick too. I never responded. Last I heard, Uncle Rick started a new landscaping business in Arizona, probably telling new employees about the nephew who betrayed him, who threw away a good life for selfish reasons. Let him tell that story. I'm done caring. I'm building my own business now. Sarah and I got married last year. We have a small house, 2 rescue dogs, and a life that's completely ours. Sometimes I still check over my shoulder in parking lots. Sometimes I have nightmares about fireplace flames consuming paper. But mostly I'm okay. I got out. I stayed out. And that's enough.